Steam Next Fest, a full week where game developers make demos of their games for the public to play. This is a fantastic way to be able to play, test, and find new games that you've probably never heard of. The last Next Fest that happened, I played and covered quite a few games. But this time around, Next Fest kind of snuck up on me and I wasn't able to play as many demos as I would have liked. But I definitely got to play a bunch of fantastic games, and one of which is actually getting a full video of its own. So if you want to be notified when that video, other Steam Next Fest videos, and other bangers come out, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified when those videos happen. We're so close to 200 subscribers, and when we hit it, I'll be playing all of Hollow Knight or Cuphead on a fight stick. That's right, I'm getting this out of the way early. Sue me. Now let's get on with the video. Just as I mentioned before, I didn't get to play too many games this time around, but I absolutely still enjoyed this Next Fest just as much as the last. I'll be running this video a bit differently than the last one though, as I'll be focusing on my top 5 favorites and consolidating the rest to simply be honorable mentions, rather than talking about a large selection of games. So first up for honorable mentions is Out of Hands. This psychological thriller deck building game was as fun as it was off-putting when I first started playing. Its gameplay, although simple, was very challenging as I got into later levels and actually required a lot of thought when I would find myself getting into a bit of a pinch. Its aesthetic of having everything represented with hands not only contributed to its horror elements, but plays directly into the game's themes. Aside from this, it's a very unique experience from anything I've ever played, and its demo is still around, and it wouldn't hurt to give it a shot. Next is Dredge. This game disguises itself as a simple fishing simulator, slowly unraveling itself to reveal its true nature as you continue to play. You are the new fisherman in town and go forth fishing and selling off all your hauls to get upgrades and parts for your ship, but as time carries on, slowly you begin to witness strange occurrences, hear about strange stories, and even shadier people. The horror elements of this game actually gave me chills as I ventured out in the night and genuinely got scared as I was chased around by a ghost ship. The story had also gotten me invested, as every little crumb of detail they would give me would have me on the edge of my seat to get more. I didn't expect to love my time with this game as much as I did, and genuinely wanted more to play once things started to wrap up. Its charming art style, great storytelling, and rather addicting gameplay make this game something you should definitely check out, especially since its demo is still available. Next is Gun Jam. I've mentioned Gun Jam quite a few times before in other videos, but I finally got a chance to play it, and I'll be honest, not what I expected. It's a rhythm shooter, which I actually just released a video about, so check it out after this if you'd like. But unlike the other games in this genre, where they have your actions of the game tied to a consistent beat in the music, the actions are instead ever-changing with the music. Even your weapon changes depending on the note that appears next. It's fast and it's fun, but it feels restrictive when compared to its predecessors. Firstly, each section you're in has a time limit that you have to complete it in and reach the next section. Fail to do so and you fail completely. This is of course a part of the arcade mode, so this has a chance to possibly change when it comes to the story mode. Secondly, since the notes are ever changing and not consistent, like let's say Metal Hellsinger, the number of actions you can take can be fewer when the music slows down. I guess this makes the player think about and consider their actions, hitting home this idea of quick thinking to amplify the feeling of speed the game has, and this even sets it apart from the other two games in the genre, even if I wasn't a huge fan of it. But despite all that, I enjoyed my time with it, and I look forward to playing the full game whenever it gets finished. Sadly though, the demo isn't up anymore, so I'll be paying close attention to their Twitter page for updates. Lastly is Season: A Letter to the Future. This game was so close to making my top 5. In fact, all 4 of the honorable mentions were extremely close, as I loved my time with each. When it came to this game, however, I was drawn in by its visuals and art style, but I stayed for the story and its complementary gameplay. In this game, you'll be playing as a young woman leaving her home for the first time. With your camera, audio recorder, and journal in hand, you'll be exploring around the world, documenting all of your findings as you learn more about everything. Taking pictures of things will have the protagonist regale a tale or simply comment on the subject in the photo, providing more details about her past, and her world. And I was surprised about the amount of detail and everything as well. Whenever I would take a picture of something so minute, there always seemed to be some sort of dialogue attached to it. To progress the story, These pictures, writings, and audio clips will be what you place in your journal to uncover more of the bigger story. The idea of allowing the player to simply uncover the main story and explore further on their own intrigue to gather more details isn't new, but the way they go about it, by allowing those smaller details to aid in uncovering the bigger pieces, is. One player's journal may not look like another player's because of what they may be taking pictures of or the audio they'll be recording. This of course excludes the pages that require specific things to be placed in them. This game's demo is still available, and I recommend giving it a play if you have a few minutes to spare. Now, with those out of the way, here are my top 5. Number 5 is The Night Witch. I had actually wishlisted this game quite a bit before Steam Next Fest October had rolled around, so I absolutely had to give this demo a play when I had gotten the chance. This twin-stick Metroidvania has you taking control of Ray, one of the Night Witches, who are, or should I say were, the defenders of the masses against the evil mechanical army of a crazed tyrant who wanted to industrialize the world against the wishes of the masses and against the health of the planet. They were successful in defeating the head of the army, but unsuccessful in saving their dying planet. So in turn, all the survivors quickly fled underground to a series of tunnels where they prospered with peace for 14 years. Suddenly though, during one of the festivals to commemorate that fateful day, they're attacked by the same robotic army from before as everything is thrown into chaos. The Night Witches are standing up against this threat, but you can see how well that's going. So, Ray steps up to give her hand in trying to save her people. Ray, of course, is confused as to how the Night Witches could even be defeated, considering their strength is directly tied to how many people believe in them. But, of course, this is a demo, and this was never directly explained. Story aside, the gameplay is just great. It's your standard twin-stick shooter gameplay style, with each room on the map being built for flying about and exploring with said aerial movement. Combat is centered on that twin-stick formula, where you'll be aiming and shooting while dodging the attacks of enemies. But things get spiced up when the game throws in spell cards. Spell cards act as the special attacks that you get to spend your mana points on. They cycle as you use them, as you can craft a deck of the cards you own to tailor your loadout how you want it. Homing swords, ball and chain, spinning axes, radial explosions, and rapid fire enhancements are a few of the spell cards in the demo, and I'm eager to see what other spell cards you'll get to unlock and use throughout the game. When it comes to leveling, you'll be gaining experience as more and more people share their link with you and become believers. Again, the Night Witch's strength is tied directly to the number of people who believe in them, so in Ray's case, it's 0. You see, Ray didn't actually aid too much in the war that took place 14 years ago due to the others being able to handle everything without her. This led to her being a rather forgotten individual when it came to the war effort, and in turn, not as powerful as the others. So, as you save people, they'll be added to your link and in turn grant you more power. Just as I mentioned before, this game is a Metroidvania as well, so you'll be exploring areas to find upgrades, items, and more, as well as traversing back through areas to unlock more paths as they all begin to intertwine with one another. I overall had a blast with this one, and I honestly had forgotten it was a demo up until the end, and I quickly hopped over to the Steam page to wishlist, only to remember that I already had. The full game releases on November 29th of this year, and its demo is still up, so give it a play if you'd like. Number 4 is Jett, The Far Shore plus Given Time. Some of you may know that this game actually already released a full year back on the Epic Games Store, but I've already voiced my opinions on the Epic Games launcher in previous videos. I had never heard of this game before I played it during Steam Next Fest October, so that's why I'm including it on this list. That aside, this game will release on Steam sometime next year with new content, a new campaign that takes place after the events of the main game. Since this game is technically already out, I won't spend too much time on it. And to be fair, the demo was very short, so there isn't much to speak on anyway. But what can I say? What I played was amazing. What I had played was overall a cinematic experience akin to that of games like Journey or Sable, where you're engaging in a massive story, traversing from location to location on a skipjet and interacting with people, as this game is very story-centric. You'll be playing as May, one of the chosen people of her tribe to hibernate in space for 1,000 years before returning back to Earth. I'll be honest, this game's story is a bit lost on me, as a lot of major details were left out of the demo, and I refuse to spoil myself by looking it up. Story aside, the game's music and its atmosphere were amazing. Moments like walking out of the Mystic's tent to the crowds chanting together as I said goodbye to my mother and father was a very powerful moment for me, as it set in on how big this was, despite me not even knowing what I was leaving for. If the opening for this game is anything to go by, this is definitely a game you should keep your eye on, or go play it on Epic Games Store if you don't wish to wait for the Steam release, which is sometime early next year. Number 3 is Potionomics. I had seen this game a few times when scrolling through Twitter, and I remember being enthralled by the game's visuals and animation. And, of course, they are just as amazing in the demo. The animations are so fluid and expressive, and have a whimsical charm that is complemented by the game's absolutely amazing character designs. Dove? Is that you? I'm getting ahead of myself, but this game is so beautiful to look at. In Potionomics, you'll be playing as Sylvia, an aspiring potion crafter who has just received her uncle's old potion shop and her inheritance after he passed away. It's a bit, in disarray, but with the help of his old, wise assistant, get it? 'Cause he's an owl, you'll get the shop cleaned up and running to sell potions to the people of Rafta. Gameplay, of course, consists of using the ingredients at your disposal to craft potions to sell to customers who come into the shop. Aside from this, you'll be haggling over the prices of your wares with the customers that come in a card-based minigame where you take turns with the customer to try and raise the price of the potion that they wish to buy. The customer will try and stress you out, lower the effectiveness of your cards, and apply other debuffs, all in an attempt to lower the price. You'll have a selection of cards you draw each turn, which are the techniques you'll use to try and haggle, but be wary not to lose a customer due to their lingering patience. Besides this, you'll get to develop relationships and interact with other individuals across the town. This includes buying different ingredients and services, giving gifts to build rapport, and more. This game is so fucking pretty to look at. Each one of these characters is so beautifully designed and animated so expressively. Luna is best. Luna is awesome. Look how fucking awesome this character design is. The game's music is so good. Just opening the game to the main menu fills me with a fantastical whimsy. Is that all? Walrus Man. All jokes aside, this is a must buy for me. And with the game coming out on October 17th of this year, which it may actually be out by the time this video goes live, I'll definitely be playing it very soon. Number 2 is Wavetale. Another game that is also fully released already, but it's only currently out on Google Stadia. And it's like the game isn't even out! So this Stadia original is releasing later this year on Steam, freeing it from the dying, if not dead on launch platform that is Google Stadia. I had no clue this game was on Stadia until I tried looking for a Twitter page to follow the game's development. Although it kinda sucks to find out after the fact that this game is technically already out, playing the demo threw all of that disappointment to the side as it swiftly became one of my most anticipated games of Steam Next Fest October. In this 3D action platformer, you'll be taking control of Sigrid, a young inhabitant of a world submerged by water, where with the aid of a being that goes by Shadow, you'll be sliding, jumping, and skating across the open sea to complete quests and explore the world beyond her home of Strandville. For 3D platformers, the first thing to nail down is the movement of the game, and I'm happy to say that it's as smooth as a nice ice-cold cup of water on a hot day. It feels fantastic gliding across the sea from island to island, and its movement felt just as good when engaging in the platforming sections up on dry land. The game's visuals are also stellar. There were a few strange visual hiccups, but I'm willing to chalk that up to simply being an early game jitters of it being a demo, but I'm not too sure if that holds up since the game has technically already been made, but maybe they're just using an early version of the game for the demo. I don't know. All I do know is that when the demo finally came to an end, I was left longing for so much more. I am extremely excited about the full release of the game, which releases sometime later this year, and I actually implore all of you to try the game's demo if this looks at all interesting to you. Number 1 is Cassette Beasts. This is another game that I was aware of before Steam Next Fest October had taken place, and it was quite a nice surprise to see a demo for the game. When I would see screenshots and video of the game on Twitter, I had very little interest, but I did acknowledge that I enjoy the visuals of the game. I'm a fan of the monster collector style of games like Pokemon, Digimon, and Temtem, but from the surface, this game didn't feel like it was differentiating itself enough other than its cassette style of theming. And I love cassettes. I even have a cassette collection of my own, but all my previous worries absolutely disappeared once I got a chance to play the game. First of all, the game has an intriguing story that actually got me invested once the ball started rolling. You'll be left washed up on the shore of an unknown island, where you're eventually going to be directed to a tutorial on how combat works. I half expected the mysterious woman to hand me a starter and start combat until... Welcome to the world of Cassette Beasts, my ass! This is the moment I knew I was in for a treat. So yes, in this game you'll utilize the tapes of monsters to transform yourself into that specific monster. When it comes to combat, it's a standard turn-based combat you'll be used to, with some great additions that allow for more depth when compared to other games in the genre. Firstly, instead of moves having limited uses, it's tied to an action point system that builds up as turn passes, with 2 gained every turn. Weaker or simpler moves use less AP, while stronger moves utilize more AP. Secondly, the monster's typings can also affect combat in different ways, other than just applying increased damage, such as air attacks causing fire type monsters to get a debuff that causes them to do less damage, or air attacks causing plant type monsters to gain a debuff that lessens their AP gain. All of this on top of the fusing mechanic that the game introduces toward the end of the demo, which allows you to fuse 2 monsters to get some big bonuses and advantages, gives the game some fantastic depth. There are a few other things, such as the health bars being separate for you and your monster form, capturing monsters mid-combat being dangerous as you drop your monster form to do it, and even a reputation system with your party members that grant bonuses in combat based on your relationship level. Going back to the game's story though, it doesn't seem to play all of its cards in the initial moments of the opening, as even toward the end of the demo, it continued to throw me curveballs. Let me just play you a short sequence from a part of the demo. Not once did I think the game would throw me something like this. Aside from the gameplay, the monsters are all so well designed, and I even spent a good amount of time just trying to catch all the ones I could. I can't even wait to see all the different sprites for the fused monsters too. The visuals of the overworld are also quite charming, as I'm a huge fan of the 2D sprites on a 3D background style. And the music, oh, the music. Every new track had my mouth wide open or up in a big smile. Just have a listen to some of these tracks. Mwah. Absolute bangers, and I'll for sure be buying the soundtrack when that's available as well. We probably have quite a few months before this game fully releases, which is a shame because the demo is gone, and I really wish you guys could get a chance to try this game out. So, if the game interests you, it will be released sometime in 2023, and you should definitely go and wishlist this game on Steam. Through it all, I got to play some fantastic games this Steam Next Fest, and I hope I was able to help you find some games that may interest you. If any of the games here piqued your interest, hell, even if they didn't, let me know down in the comments. I'll be down there as usual. And if you enjoyed the video, why not subscribe to the channel? It helps support both the channel's growth and helps us continue to bring you bigger and even better videos. I also want to apologize for how infrequent uploads have become. A lot has been going on lately, and I'm trying to work on consistent and quality uploads. For those who are subscribed and watching my content through this time though, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Enough sappiness though. My name is CrossVee, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Love you. Peace.